taking a long time. Hello everyone, welcome to Storytime, and today's story is A Tale of Two Friends, Part 7. As you recall last video, Neisha and Cleo had to cross the path with fast-moving boxers, which they caused an accident because of their carelessness. Today, they continue on their journey, and we see what happens in Part 7, The Invisible Wall. The pair were now safely in the trees. They breathed a sigh of relief as they looked out at the path they had just crossed. The previously ordered scene was now a big mess. Boxes were stopped everywhere, and monsters were now all over the place. They were very colourful, and they were all different sizes, from big to small. They were leaning on their boxes, they were interacting with each other, and some were laying on the floor. It was so interesting to observe them that Neisha and Cleo just sat there watching. Neisha commented. Cleo replied. While they moved away from the scene, they heard someone whimper out. The two scanned the scene. That's when Neisha spotted something quite peculiar. Her eyes opened in surprise. She asked Cleo. Cleo scanned around. It took her a while, but she saw what Neisha was looking at. Near one of the monsters that was leaning against the box, there was a dog. It looked completely different from Neisha. It had a small head, big ears, small body, and even smaller legs. Cleo looked at Neisha. Cleo said. Neisha looked at the other dog. It didn't look scared. No, it was the opposite. It was concerned about the monster. It would tenderly kiss the limbs of the monster and rub its snout against its arms. Neisha turned to look at Cleo. Cleo replied. She turned around and started walking, but Neisha stayed there, just looking at the dog and the monster. After pleading with Neisha, Neisha reluctantly turned around and followed. They walked along the path in silence. The sun was about to disappear from the sky, and Neisha was in the lead. Every so often, she would bump into a tree or run into a bush. It happened at such a frequent pace that Cleo was getting worried. She called slowly. Neisha didn't hear her. Her mind was still occupied by the monster and the dog. Did they just have dogs? Or did they have cats too? Neisha thought as she ran into another bush. She shrugged it off and continued walking. Do they feed them? Because if so, that would be great. Cleo cried out. This snapped Neisha out of her thoughts. She shook her head and looked at Cleo. Cleo said angrily. Neisha just nodded her head. She said unconvincingly. Cleo glared at her. After what seemed to be an eternity, Neisha turned away. She whimpered out. Cleo let out a big sigh. She ended, sounding a little bit more worried. Neisha nodded. As the sun disappeared from the sky, Cleo suggested that they rest for the night. Neisha agreed. They laid down together, and Cleo started to think about Neisha and the other dog. She didn't think that what Neisha saw was of any importance. In fact, she found it worrying that a dog could care and worry so much about a creature like that. But Neisha was friendly towards me. Her mind started to wander. So it's not impossible that others like her can do that. Cleo started getting worried now, and she looked at Neisha. Would Neisha leave me if she found a monster that's nice to her? Cleo shook the thought out of her mind and went to sleep. In the morning, the two woke up at the same time. They both smiled at each other and continued on their journey without saying a word. They were both still thinking about what they saw the day before. It wasn't until the sun was high up in the sky that Neisha spotted something and broke the awkward silence with a small laugh. Cleo looked up at Neisha and pointed out in the distance with her snout. Arr, arr, arr. Cleo looked out to where Neisha was pointing. There was a big, weirdly shaped building. Cleo began to smile. They were going to see their family again. They excitedly ran towards the buildings. The trees that they were hiding in made way to tall grass. They ran and talked excitedly about what they were going to do with their brothers and mothers. They were going to tackle them, they were going to kiss them, they were going to nuzzle them, they were going to sleep with them. So many things that they were going to do. As they got closer to the buildings, Neisha got more excited and started to run faster and faster. All of a sudden, a ringing burst in her ears. Her muscles tightened and she fell heavily to the ground. Her eyes rolled up to the back of her head and the world turned dark. Cleo, seeing what happened, slowed down and cautiously walked up to her friend. She pushed Neisha. Meow, Cleo called out gently. What happened? She thought as she shook Neisha again. She said it once again softly. Her mind was getting more frantic. Tears started forming in her eyes. Neisha laid on the ground, not moving, not really breathing. Cleo yelled as she put her front legs onto Neisha and started shaking her back and forth vigorously. She jumped on Neisha. She tackled Neisha. She was more frantic now. She was trying to do anything to get Neisha to wake up. Neisha still gave no response. She said as she stopped. She started crying and kissed Neisha. Kissed her on the cheek. Kissed her on the lips. Kissed her on the heart-shaped birthmark that was above her eye. When there was no response, she laid next to Neisha, squeezing herself between Neisha's legs. She started to cry, silently. Cleo's eyes shut open. What was that? Cleo looked, and she saw Neisha's body start moving up and down more rapidly. Cleo sat up and looked at Neisha. She was moving. She moved her legs as if she was swimming. Neisha's eyes shut open and she got up quickly. Instantly, her head jolted back down as her headache pounded her head. She laid back down. She took in deep breaths and shut her eyes, trying to squeeze the headache out of her system. She was unexpectedly tackled by Cleo and was kissed all over her face. Neisha said, laughing and grimacing at the same time. Cleo said, getting emotional. She recounted what she saw happen to Neisha. She asked at the end after the explanation. Neisha thought back to what happened before the sleep. She said slowly. She got up. Cleo said, worried. Neisha flexed her legs and moved her neck. Cleo sighed with relief. The two slowly moved towards the buildings again. Neisha started to hear a buzzing noise again. Neisha alerted Cleo. She looked around. They both looked around now, trying to figure out where the noise was coming from. Cleo moved closer to the buildings. When she moved closer, the buzzing noise started getting louder. She moved in closer and closer. The noise was now joined with a burning smell. She moved back and looked at Neisha. "Hello?" she asked. Neisha asked, puzzled. She looked down towards her nose. There was a small wisp of cloud that was coming from it. Something had burnt one of her whisker hairs. Cleo thought to herself as she moved in close to the humming noise again. She squinted her eyes and caught a reflection. Her eyes shot open. She saw the invisible. A few small strings hidden in the grass. And that concludes part 7 of A Tale of Two Friends. Join me next week for part 8 and we'll see where the adventure goes. Until next time, goodbye.